It is back to the grind for the 76ers and that man, Tobias Harris, one of the strongest performers on this year's very strong team. Looking to move past a tough loss last time out on Wednesday night in overtime to one of their competitors inside the Eastern Conference, the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a beautiful sight always seeing the center getting ready for a basketball game, but drinking in right now because after tonight, the Sixers ain't going to be there for a long, long time. How you doing? Welcome to 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot. I am Brian Seltzer. Great to be with Lauren Rosen. Yes, the 76ers playing at home tonight, where they've been so strong over the course of the last couple seasons. But this is it, Lauren, for a long, long time. The Sixers head to New York to wrap up this back-to-back tomorrow, and that begins a 6-game cross-country road trip. And that's not all. 20 of the next 23 days will be spent on the road. Insanity.
Yes, indeed, Seltz. I am trying to drink every moment in here at the center tonight. I'm excited to see fans back once again. I am excited to watch this team, to watch the brand of basketball they've developed over the last few games, to soak in the good vibes that are emanating from across this roster, because we're going to miss them when they're gone. We, of course, will still be here with you guys on 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot, but it will be presented from my home in Old City, not from this wonderful building in South Philadelphia. I will miss it for the next 20 out of the next 23 days.
76ers, of course, losing to the Milwaukee Bucks in overtime on Wednesday, 109-105, a tough defeat for the Sixers. Second night of a back-to-back for them. Seth Curry will hit this right off the bat, not available for the team tonight, as we look at some of the highlights at the start of this game, in which Seth Curry just does the old roly-doly up the floor, and the Sixers finish it off. Great scoring play featuring Tobias Harris right there. But no Seth Curry, Lauren, for this back-to-back. At least we're not sure what his status is beyond tomorrow night when the Sixers are at the Garden against the Knicks.
That is right, Seltz. I believe he'll be reevaluated following tomorrow night's game. It'll be interesting to see if he travels with the team. They tonight, obviously, for the first 13-day road trip, which is just a crazy long trip. Hopefully, they'll be leaving on a high note with their second win of the season over this Sacramento Kings team that has shown some flashes of being pretty solid.
I thought the way the Sixers started this game, Lauren, on Wednesday night was so impressive. That game on Tuesday against the Knicks, it was a roll up your sleeves, grind it out, hard fought, come from behind win for the Sixers. And then they burst out of the gates. Their defense was terrific in that first half against Milwaukee. Bucks began to get back in it, saw some shots fall in the second half. And then all of a sudden the Sixers were engaged in another tight battle against an Eastern Conference playoff hopeful.
True enough. They showed some great stuff, like you said, at the beginning of this one, even a little bit into the third quarter. And unfortunately, it just kind of felt like the Bucks had more gas at the end there. The Sixers had played a late game the night before. They had to grind it out, fight to the finish. And then they started, like you said, so strong in this one, just quite didn't have enough gas in the tank. But Furkan Korkmaz here, the game-tying, overtime-forcing corner three that reminds us all of his shot in Portland last year that, of course, resulted in a victory instead of sending this team to overtime, ultimately to a loss. But nobody happier than a Furkan Korkmaz after hitting a buzzer beater, Seltz.
Ultimately, in the end, it was Giannis Antetokounmpo who was the happiest person, perhaps, in the whole building on Wednesday night. He really had a brilliant finish, scoring 19 of his 32 between the fourth quarter and overtime, coming up with the clutch shots for the Milwaukee Bucks to seal a come-from-behind win for them. Really impressive stuff by him. And I think that my takeaway, Lauren, from the game on Wednesday, we talked about this on our Friday Deep Dive podcast with Devon Givens from 97.5 The Fanatic, is that I feel there's a world in which the loser of Wednesday's game, the Sixers, could actually come away from that game feeling better about themselves than the winner. Let's get this straight. You want to win every game you play all the time. So the Bucks have got that. But the Sixers are missing arguably the best player on the planet right now, at least this season, in Joel Embiid. So I think that in some respect, the Sixers, when you look at the ceiling of their potential in a rematch with the Bucks, whether it's later this season or in the playoffs, I think that that's obviously a huge weapon that they can bring into the picture, whereas Milwaukee, the roster is relatively going to be the same. They added PJ Tucker, but it's not like a dramatic MVP candidate type influence in addition to the roster, the likes of which the Sixers could have.
Yes, I'm with you, Selt. Something I said on our deep dive podcast is that if I am a Bucks fan, I am more afraid of the Sixers than I am as a Sixers fan afraid of the Bucks. Watching the way that they played without Joel Embiid, without Seth Curry down the stretch, and still nearly pulled it out. Very impressed by what the Sixers did on the second night of their back-to-back.
Tobias Harris finished with 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 4 assists in the game on Wednesday. This was his take on what went down.
Yeah, no, there's no moral victories, but at the end of the day, I thought we fought enough to give ourselves a chance. And we didn't let up throughout the game. I mean, I would say probably third quarter, I didn't think we started the way that we wanted to. And some things that we can learn. I thought their length kind of disrupted us a little bit with our offense. We got to go back to the drawing board, watch the tape on that, and see different ways we could be more effective out there. But, like I said, looks what we would take any day. Didn't fall for us. Can't really harp on it too much after that.
I think that's a very fair way to view that game, Lauren. I like what Doc Rivers had to say afterwards, that he felt that the Sixers didn't do anything to discourage him. It was just a hard-fought game. Sixers kind of ran out of gas, like you alluded to. I think that everyone who was watching could see that in the second night of a back-to-back. It didn't happen. But as far as like takeaways that you could apply to things moving forward, the biggest thing for me, I think probably everyone on the outside watching that game, was the matchup between Ben Simmons and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And for the better part of the night, Ben really did a great job on him.
He sure did. That first half we've talked about, 4 points for Giannis, 4 turnovers for Giannis, indicative of just how well Ben Simmons was doing guarding him. And again, arrested Ben Simmons guarding him could potentially do it even better, even stronger. So I'm looking forward to watching this matchup once again, hopefully with a healthy Joel Embiid back in the fold by the Sixers visit the Bucks for 2 straight at the end of April. And then you never know who you could see again down the road in the playoffs. It was certainly a fun one to watch to open the season series. And with Joel Embiid, I mean, I've said it before, I like the Sixers' chances against anyone, but particularly against this Bucks team after having seen the way that Ben was able to put Giannis on notice for almost a full game.
Simmons finished with his 4th triple-double of the season on Wednesday when he was guarding Giannis. Giannis went 2 for 8, 0 for 3 from 3, that according to stats.nba.com. But perhaps even more so than the final outcome of the game, the final lasting image of Wednesday night was the drop of the fanny that Giannis took on center court at the center. Come on, man. I thought it actually was some good theater. Let's get a look at it right here. They got Ben on the switch. Giannis drains it. And then plop, sits right on down. Dwight Howard, what did he have to say about that afterwards?
Oh yeah, I wanted to go and stone cold stunner him, but I had already got one tech. It's basketball. He want to have fun, but we'll see these guys again. We don't want to make a big scene about what he did, but today we allowed him to get back in the game. What he did, we can't control that. But, he had a hell of a game. He made some tough shots at the end of the game. He's reigning MVP, and he had a great game. So I'm not one to talk trash or say anything negative, but we'll see them again, and it'll be a different result.
I'll take a page out of Dwight's book there. I like the Sixers' chances against the Bucks in the future. I think now for the 3rd time I've said that on this 7-6 live countdown. But hearing Dwight say that the Sixers took notice of that little celebratory moment, they'll remember, they'll keep it in the back of their minds, they'll visit Milwaukee, and we'll see what happens then. They'll let the game do the talking, as Dwight said.
I do like the extra spice and perhaps drama that this now adds to the rivalry between the Sixers and the Bucks. They meet again for a 2-game series at Pfizer Forum towards the end of April, and then who knows where after that. It has been a fun homestand for the 76ers. Fans back for the first time. That means Christian, Archie, Sixers ENT. They've had a whole big audience, relatively speaking, to work with. Guys?
To 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot. I'm Christian Crosby, and as you can see, I'm accompanied by the Sixers and Squad 7-6. I mean, look at this energy right here. We are super excited about Sixers basketball. But before we start, I just want to remind you guys to download the official 76ers application. You can get photos, videos, and you can have access to Brian and Lauren with their amazing Sixers podcast. So make sure you guys do that. Here's another good reason to download that app. You can redeem your Wendy's Frosty Freeze-Out prize. That's right, the Wendy's Frosty Freeze-Out is back. Philadelphia loves free stuff. So we're gonna keep that going all season long. Let me remind you how that works. In the second half, when the opposing team comes to the line, when they miss 2 consecutive free throws, all of you can redeem a free small Frosty. Now, if they do it twice, you get a small Frosty and a small fry. If they do it 3 times, you get a medium Frosty and a medium fry. It's like the best thing ever. So I'm super excited. We're gonna keep things going. So without further ado, make some noise and give it up for our favorite Sixers. Sixers! What you guys got? Let's see. Gotta love the Sixers, Sticksers. There's a whole lot more where that came from tonight. Big shout out to Squad 7-6. Damon, keep up the great work. Sixers basketball is on the way. You can check it out, 97.5 The Fanatic and NBC Sports Philadelphia Plus. And all I gotta say left is let's go Sixers! Brian and Lauren, what's up?
Listen, all I got to say, Damon, amazing, popping up from behind the row of seats there during the Sixers performance. I also have my checkbook out. I think Christian said something to the effect of amazing Sixers podcast with Brian and Lauren. So I'm writing out. I can't promise that there's much in the bank account. It gets drained by my 2 3-year-old kids. But I'm writing something out to Christian. I'm going to put it in the mail to thank him for that shout out.
He deserves it. I agree. I'll have to put in a couple of pennies here or there to thank Christian for that plug.
Well, the Sixers tonight, hey, great matchup against the Kings. This will be another test, Lauren, for Ben Simmons. I mean, he gets a test defensively every game. He is always usually marking the opponent's best player, and that'll probably be no different tonight.
Yes, indeed. Ben will expect to have his hands full this evening, but he's had no problem regardless of how that defensive assignment has gotten all season long. And something we've talked about a lot across the roster is the good vibes. And this morning I was able to do a vibe check with Ben Simmons. Danny has spoken a lot about the good vibes among this group of Sixers. He's played on a lot of teams, and he says that the bonds that you guys have are stronger than some of the best teams that he's even played on. What do you think about the way you guys have bonded as a team, and how important is that to you?
Definitely. I think, this year, apart from like other years I've been a part of, this team's definitely, the chemistry is a lot better in terms of just off the court. Guys are actually hanging out and talking and things like that. So it's more of a natural type of chemistry that everybody has on the team. So that's going to, translate to the court, obviously. Guys are open, they're able to talk to each other. And that just helps. Once you're on the court, you're able to say something to somebody. Nobody's going to take it personally. And then, you move on and get better.
Ben Simmons, thanks so much.
Ben Simmons, Defensive Player of the Year candidate on the Zoom. Great hearing from him, Lauren. 76ers, we know, have a couple of great defensive players. Joel Embiid when he's out there. Danny Green, another Green, going through some pregame warm-ups right now at the center. I love the live look-ins that we are able to get. This is an important game, I think, tonight for the Sixers. Shrug off that game against the Bucks on Wednesday night. Get one more at home before setting out on this road trip.
Well, the vibes are good, right? And what brings more good vibes is winning. And if you can go off on your big road trip, I mean, hard to start an already long road trip on the second night of a back-to-back. You gotta hope for a victory to get those vibes brewing early in the trip, head out on a high note, and visit the Knicks, like you said, tomorrow.
I think one thing that was great to hear from Danny after the game when he spoke following practice on Friday was that the Sixers, and we know about these post-game parties in the weight room because of the great reporting from Lauren on her Good Vibes Only article, is that the Sixers actually had a weight room post-game party following the game on Wednesday. I love hearing that. That, I think, speaks to the fire that burns inside this team, how they felt about the game on Wednesday, and that they really didn't want to, I guess, leave Lauren in the building, some of them, before getting in like a sweat they felt good about following that game, to purge it out of their system.
I'm with you, Seltz. To add some extra context there, let's remember this was after an overtime game. It was a loss. It was the second night of a back-to-back. These guys were cashed. They had gone through quite a tiring, let's say, 36 hours, and they still wanted to put in extra work and to do it together. And I think that was my main takeaway as well, hearing that they elected to go ahead and get in an extra lift in together as a team on the second night of a back-to-back when they played overtime basketball. A really good sign about where this team's chemistry and motivation is right now.
Indeed. As far as what the team is on the opposite side of the 76ers tonight, the Sacramento Kings, who knows right now? They're on the good side. They've won back-to-back games, including last night on the road against the Boston Celtics. They are 17-24 on the season, but as you see with the graphic right there, 5-13 since their last meeting with the Sixers, and that was a couple weeks ago on the West Coast. The Kings were playing above 500 basketball at that point in time. They were inside the top 8 in the Western Conference, but it has definitely been a fall from grace. They endured an 8-game losing streak, so not great for the Sacramento Kings after that last game against the 76ers.
Yes, indeed, Seltz. And it was good to get that first window out of the way at Sacramento. To now play them a second time at home. Kind of a treat for the Sixers. Maybe the easier way to do it. But of course, you can't forget Joel Embiid, Seth Curry, two of the primary performers on the offensive end in the first win. So it'll be interesting to see who picks up the slack tonight in the second opportunity.
Yeah, the Sixers were able to win that game back on February 9th by scoring 32 points in the fourth quarter, outscoring Sacramento by 12 in the fourth. But Buddy Hield had 21, De'Aaron Fox had 34. So these are types of guards that present problems for everyone. So the Sixers obviously need to be on guard for that.
I am with you, Seltz. I look forward, though, to seeing what defensive options the team throws at De'Aaron Fox. Doc Rivers said just prior to our show that he's one of those guys that you can't stop. You can try to slow him down. And the Sixers did that in Sacramento. They'll look to do that again tonight in South Philly.
All right, Lonnie, I think it's time for us to check the time as one day I'll get this right, how I put my Tissot Chrono XL NBA Special Edition in the frame properly. Yes, that is actual Spalding NBA basketball right there. It is time for our Tissot keys to the game tonight, 76ers and the Sacramento Kings. Lauren, why don't you lead us off?
Let's do it. I said follow the leaders for my key to the game. And when this team has been shorthanded in the past, there's been a common theme. Let the stars who are available sort of take the lead and show the rest of the guys the way. And even with, let's say, two of the team's 3 all-stars, they've proven that they can find a way to win no matter what. Ben played Ben's game. Tobias played Tobias' game. As Doc always says, don't try to do too much. Play your game, and everybody else, follow the leaders.
I dig it. My key tonight is no mercy, as in show no mercy. The Kings played last night. They're going to be tired. 76ers should be thirsty for revenge. On top of that, Sacramento is the worst defensive team in the NBA in terms of defensive rating and opponent field goal percentage. They allow the highest. So I know the Sixers are shorthanded. No Embiid, no Seth. But show no mercy tonight. Go after them, take it to them, and get some momentum going out in this long 6-game road trip. That's what I think. That's my key.
Love that key. I think tonight was a good night for the keys to the game.
Yeah. Yeah, some nights I think they're just okay. That's usually a reflection of me. But I agree. I think tonight we really dialed in there.
I like it. I was confident about those keys, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all plays out, of course, in just under an hour now.
All right, so why don't we do this? We thank Ryan Coletti and Trevor Gaffney on the sticks. We thank you, Lauren Rosen, if we can do this. Tom McGinnis has a new episode of his podcast, Tom's Talks, out earlier today. It is with the one and only Furky from Turkey. So as we bid you adieu for tonight's live stream, why don't we play you an excerpt of Tom's Talks with Furkan Korkmaz. Follow the 76ers Podcast Network, wherever you get your pods, by searching 76ers Podcast.
It's a stretch, if I'm not mistaken, that's like 20 of 23 days away. And I know you got to take it one game at a time, but you really have to get yourself geared up and ready mentally, physically, everything you just spoke about, taking care of your body and all that. That's quite a stretch coming up. Have you thought about that going forward a little bit?
Yeah, like you said, for example, playing in the West Coast is a different game. So you got to be focused, because I think in West Coast, game is more faster than you expect. I think in East Coast, game is a little bit more slower. But in West Coast, everybody's pushing the ball, they're trying to play hard, and you just got to go and get the game. That's it. You just got to go out there and then let them know that we are here to win all these games. We are not getting any off days here. We are not here for vacation. We are not here for good weather. We are just here to win the game. And when you come back to the East Coast again, it's going to be the same mentality, same goal for us. And it's going to be more and more important, because every game is going to be matter at the end of the game and at the end of the day, because playoff is on the door already. So it's going to be so quick. And then when we close our eyes and when we open it, you're going to say, okay, here's the first game of playoffs. Let's go. We're going to play. So it's going to be so quick.